This call is being recorded.
Hello.
Hello.
Hi, Dhanjany. Hello. Hello.
Hello.
Hi, is this Dhananjay?
Yeah.
All right. So this is Fatima, and we're going to have this call today to discuss some of the gaps on your resume.
hmm
Are you ready for the call?
Yeah. Yeah. Sure.
Okay, great. So I was just going through the document that you sent back to me, and it
hmm
seems that you have clarified a lot of the background um, of what you have done. So
hmm
we'll pick up our conversation from there, and we'll talk about the challenges that you have faced essentially,
Okay.
and
Okay.
the impact or the value that you have been able to bring to these companies that you have
hmm
worked at by managing, supporting, developing these systems. All right.
Yep.
Um, One thing that you mentioned in your initial information gathering form was that you don't want to come across as a data manager only, database
Uh,
manager only, but
Database
also as a
administrator.
database
Right.
administrator, right? And you do want to highlight your experience with cloud. I see that you do have some good
Yeah.
experience with cloud. The
hmm
thing we're going to focus on is the gap that I feel there is, that how have you added value to your company, like specifically impacted maybe performance, maybe analytics,
hmm
maybe the user experience, etc.,
hmm
by working on these different systems, by working on these different databases, etc.
hmm
All right.
Yep. Yep.
So just a second, let me go back to yeah. So let's just begin with your latest position at Cooking Loans. You mentioned that this
hmm
is a mortgage providing services company, and this is part of a bigger group of companies.
Right.
And you maintain these database servers to support various
hmm
applications and websites, right?
Yeah.
You gave me an example of some of the biggest um, servers that you maintain.
Yeah.
Any particular, and the challenges you mentioned were that getting to know the architecture of the applications, getting
hmm
to know the basic configuration. Any particular bottlenecks that you had to face while you were getting on board, while you were getting to know the basic configuration, for example, in relevance to debugging, did you face any specific bugging issues while you were working on these or supporting these applications?
Yeah. So basically, I've mentioned that we do pushes, right? We do deployments at the night, and for that, basically, when I was just starting up with that, there was issue with the first deployment which I was doing.
All
I
right.
mean, yeah. So basically, I had one person with me on the call, but facing such kind of issue on the first deployment is like not good. So I was kind of worried about that, but yeah, we found our way through it. So basically, it was. Should I tell you? Like, do you want to know what the issue was, or
Yeah,
this is the
yeah. Like I'm
data?
looking for very specific, examples or instances where
Okay, so
you face these
basically, we
particular
were.
things.
Mhm. So basically, we were altering a table. So we were adding a column into the table, which was a use table around like I guess around a gig. So while adding the table, what MySQL does is it creates a new table and copies over the data. So the
All
new
right.
table is created. Yeah, the new table is created in a temporary space. So basically, the temporary space was getting filled up, and the new table could not be created. So the temporary space is not visible to us. Basically, we have to just think that okay, this is happening, and just we went debugging through on that steps, and yeah, that was happening, and yeah, we added some more temp space, and that issue got fixed.
Right. And this was for what specific product?
QLMS.
QLMS. All right, all right.
Yeah.
And once this issue was resolved, how did
hmm
this impact the performance of the product?
So basically, there are new things, new uh, updates added every Thursday, or not every Thursday. So every Thursday we do the deployments. So basically, the new updates were added successfully the next day. So
And
we
seamlessly.
yeah, seamlessly, and we did not have to push back that on that day, and uh, we saved a week. I'll say.
All right, that makes sense. And what about the other applications in terms of like you support this other application which is like Confluence? It's
hmm
Atlassian, I think. It's a product
Yeah.
designed for managing and collaborating teams. Any particular challenges that you have faced in implementing or managing this particular application?
So one of the issues with that was so basically it contains a text data, nothing but
All
text.
right.
So what happened was some team member created a page which had some things written on it, and that got deleted or something. So he wanted to retrieve that page, and for that we so basically we went to the application, but application side cannot do anything for that. So basically we have to go into the backup of that day and run that particular time of transactions which were happened on the database, and we retrieve like that particular amount of data.
Right. So these were all data infrastructure improvement projects, right?
Yes.
All right. And in terms of the other two or three websites and applications that you have mentioned, how have you
hmm
used those to kind of like align with the business goal in terms of how have you made them more aligned to give a more business, like to give better business impact? Any
So
particular
basically,
initiatives that you have?
uh, I cannot think of any initiative, but the only thing is every Thursday
How
or
have you
every week.
improved them to
Hello.
kind of like,
Yeah.
yeah, can you hear me?
Yeah. I can hear you.
All right.
So
So I'm saying, how have you improved them, if not initiated? How have you improved them to better align with the business analytics or with the business output in general?
So yeah, basically, sometimes what happens is the application run the queries on the database, and those queries are very big, huge queries. So they take a lot of time to run, like couple of seconds or minutes also sometimes. So we have to dig into the query, which query is taking a long time, and see if anything can be that query can be tuned, that query can be changed. If not, then can we change something on the database side, like create indexes on the database side, something like that. So that has happened many times. We have tuned the query.
And
We have
how has that helped improve the application or website performance in terms of
so
if you were to give me the before and after picture after you
mhm,
took over and kind of like
yeah.
improvise these processes, so would you be able to give me like a change in the overall scenario performance
mhm.
wise?
So basically, first, if you would go to the before the change, if you would go to the website and click some link, it would take around 5 seconds to open that link. But when we
All
do these
right,
changes, like create indexes, it takes milliseconds to do that. So
all right. So it
yeah, that's why we
has
run fast.
made the process faster, right?
Yeah, yeah.
All right, and in the resume, Dhananjay, you mentioned that you
hmm
created and maintained all these SQL, MySQL database servers. So
hmm
that means that you are responsible for developing them and managing them as well.
Not developing them because the development is done on by the application side. So basically, managing means sometimes the
So we
application.
couldn't say creating, right?
So
Because
okay. So if we just talk about the servers, I have set up the whole MySQL on that. So yeah. we can say created, because
All
we
right.
started from the installation of MySQL on the server, uh, by seeing how much RAM, how much CPU, how much cores the server has, and setting up the configuration according to that. So
All right. All
we do
right.
create, we do create the servers for the applications, but not
To
develop
support the
anything.
applications. All right.
Yeah,
All right.
right.
I get that. I get that. All right. That makes sense. And
Mhm.
you also mentioned that you optimize performance on databases by creating indexes when needed. Again,
Yeah,
that's the same kind of
yes.
thing. Any particular database performance issues that you see? I mean, in terms of like any specific significant examples that you would like to share?
Yeah, sure. So for the QLMS application, uh, which I mentioned earlier, yeah. So for that,
So that's
uh,
I understand that's the biggest
yeah, that is the biggest
applications
one.
or products,
Hmm.
right?
Yes.
All right.
So on those database servers, the CPU was always 90% or 95% used. Whenever we always got alerts that the CPU is very high. So basically, we had to go and dig in what the application is running on the database side. So we saw that there were a bunch of queries which were taking a long time to run, which was the reason the CPU was high all the time. So what we did was, there was nothing, there was like, we cannot do anything to change the queries on that, because the queries were already optimized. That was only because the data was too huge on those servers. So we had to create indexes on the tables. So basically, we created like bunch of indexes. I think like 7 or 8 indexes on a table, like multiple tables also. So basically, four, 4 to 5 indexes on like 7 to 8 tables, which reduce the query time and yeah, significantly reduce the CPU usage also.
All right. So how much did this reduce the query time?
Uh, in seconds, I'd say 4 to 5 seconds.
All right. And in terms of setting up the replication on database servers, again, your
Mm-hmm.
purpose was essentially to get high availability and disaster recovery across
Right.
all database servers. So when you say all
Mm-hmm.
database servers, these would be the 60 MySQL servers or overall.
Yeah, so these are only the MySQL servers. So whatever application teams uh, have, those are different servers. Like those are application servers, but these are like for the applications I've mentioned, like QLMS and Conference. These have their own database servers. So each application has like 2 to 3 servers. One is a master, and the others are the slaves. So they just have the data, but they don't contribute anything. Those are just for if the master server fails, so that we can just jump onto the slave. So the slave would be the next master.
So, were there any, did you see a particular issue arising with relevance to availability or disaster recovery before you started this initiative?
Uh, so actually, what happens is whenever there is no other server, like so there is no replication going on. So you have only one server, and something happens, the server breaks down. You don't have any copy of the data. uh, you lose all the data, or even if the data is persistent on the server, on the storage, you cannot access the data because the server is broken. So replication helps in that part. So all the data, whatever it is changed on the master, it is replicated on the slave. So basically, when the master fails, you can still go and check the things on the slave server. So that is the most important thing which we achieved with setting up the replication on the servers.
Right. So, this would kind of like help improve data integrity. Not really data integrity,
Y-
but
Yeah, we can say
what would.
data integrity and availability. So, say there is a network issue and server one is down, but the application is still up, right? So, uh, now the application is not getting the data, but now we have the server too, which is set by the application, which we can connect directly to the application. So the application gets its data again. So the application is available all the time.
Right, so it's a
The application is not.
24/7
Yeah.
applicability. Right,
Right.
all right. And how did you see that? So, I mean, what difference would it make on business performance having an application available 24/7 versus, having no backup and having a data loss? How would that, in terms of this particular company, did you see an improvement in the performance, or did you
Yeah.
see
So
an improvement in the business impact? And if
hmm
yes, could you quantify that?
yeah, sure. So there is a lot of impact on the business when we lose the data. So basically, quick and learn, it's a financial, like it has all the financial data, right? So if we lose some data, it's like we lose the assistance of our clients, or if we lose the address or names of the clients. So that is not good. So we cannot go and ask them again, oh, we lost your data, we lost your information, and can you give it back to us? So that process is broken at that point. So what we do, so basically it has a lot of impact on the business, and we lose thousands and millions of dollars if we lose our data. So yeah, it has a lot of impact.
All right, all right. And again, you mentioned that you were providing on-call support for each application
Hmm.
database, and this you did to maintain all environments stable and running. This was a very routine task that you were performing.
Yeah.
Any particular, troubleshooting issues or examples that you remember, significant ones that you had to diffuse?
So yeah, many a times it happens that there is some issue with the network, and the replication breaks. So basically, we have to go log in to the servers off business hours, and yeah, so basically fix the replication. So we go and see how
So,
much
what
data.
issues, what potential issues happen when these applications break down?
So there are maybe there are a couple of scenarios here. So basically, one would be the both of the servers, like the master and the slave, both are down. We cannot do anything. The application has to be down. So we try to get back the servers as soon as possible because it is impacting the business. Uh, Next would be if we just lose one of the servers, we are still good. We do the failover. So basically, we make the slave as the master, and the application keeps talking to the servers. But on the back end, we are changing things. Uh, Third thing would be just the replication is broken. So everything is up and running, but just the data is not getting copied from the primary to the secondary side. So we have to still log in because anything can happen anytime. So in the morning, if something happens and we have to get the data from the other server and it doesn't have it, so we lose the data. So we have to fix it at the same time when it fails, like, as soon as possible. So we try to fix the replication as well if it is broken. So yeah,
All right.
these scenarios are common.
Yeah, this one project that you mentioned, Dhanjay, the database issues and resolution logger, that's the same thing, right?
Which one?
The projects, under the projects that you mentioned at the end of the resume, so there was
Hmm.
this project, database issues and resolution logger.
Yeah, yeah.
That
So
would be the same
basically,
thing, right?
yeah. So basically, what that does is we log our issues. So basically, we get different types of errors every time. So every time you cannot remember what you did earlier when you got that error. So I created this application where we just put, okay, this was the issue and this was the resolution for the issue, and save it into that application. So basically, whenever we get an issue, we first go and search using some keywords that okay, this is the issue, and if we find it in the application, we can right away apply that solution instead of
Right, so
like
this was
searching.
your
So
initiative.
yes,
All right.
so it
And this
so
was
this was
essentially
like
done to like improve expedite the process.
yeah, yeah.
All right. And so you were saying something?
Yeah, I was just saying that this was again not like my initiative, but I started working on it. So uh, I was the first one to start working on it. But yeah, you can say it was my initiative because I was like, okay, I want to work on this. So
All right. And this was done mainly because to